Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is December the 20th, 2024. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Today has been nice, pretty relaxing. I did have to do laundry today, but I decided to do it and get myself a little treat. I went to Dunkin' Donuts and I got a couple of bagels. One cinnamon raisin bagel with strawberry cream cheese, and then one sesame bagel with strawberry cream cheese, and then a blueberry glazed donut, and extra large coffee with espresso and some extra sugar. So yeah, that was me. I don't, there was some cream in there. I had to cream it. Cream team. Anyway, so after being a bad boy, after eating all that food, I continue to round up my laundry. Do my little home workout in between, to and fro. Also, it's fun because it's nice with this new car not having like just the expected problems that I'm just so used to just waking up and kind of subtly dealing with and like shuddering through. So that's nice. But then the new fears of excuse me, like what happens if I get in an accident? What happens if someone gets into an accident with me? Not that I wasn't thinking about those things before, but it just hits different when you're in an old little jalopy that is what it is. It feels way more one-sided. But now it's like, oh man, it's just every I just have so much to lose. Every action could mean anything. So I'm just having this internal like monologue in my head and I just gotta get used to, and just also getting used to a new car. So yeah, there was that. But overall, laundry went well. More or less in and out. Ugh, the weather was also gross too. So I'm like driving this new car, and that's also why I was a little bit more like, I guess, freaked out, if you will, because I'm like, ugh, it'd be crazy if I like hydroplaned. But yeah, just that wintry mix. Gotta love that for being in the Midwest. Nice and sloppy, but not too bad. At this point, I think the weather's kind of died down, which is cool. That's nice. But it has been cold, a bit nippy. But yeah, overall, it's been a good day. I will say though, gym talk, body talk. Gym went overall well, but I feel like I officially kind of came to terms with just something that's been going on. I'm kind of talking about it on and off. My back, it's just been so messed up. Not so messed up, but it's been hurting. It's not been good. And I've been saying, oh, it's my bed, it's this or it's that. And I think I really summed it up and had to kind of come to terms with the fact that it's like, Isaiah, you're doing too much. And that's why it hurts. And that's why the pain's not going away, because you're just trying to like grug your way through it. And that's not what your body wants to do. And you need to start listening to it. So I think it's one of those things where I need to, when it comes to like the weight training and stuff, just ease up a bit until I start feeling better. And then, I can maybe ramp it back up. I think it's one of those things where, I've just been so stubborn, and I just I want to get somewhere. I want to make the gains. I want to do the things. And, I think in the beginning, especially with like my feet and, the walking and the running on the treadmill, I did kind of like, force my way through it, kind of get headstrong about it and just kind of keep going and walking through it. Yes, that worked to an extent, but even so, I still slowed down. I still didn't do as much on the running, and then realized, okay, once we feel better, we can get back at it. So, I think it's just like I'm not listening to my body, and I'm over here looking around with a magnifying glass saying, what's wrong? Why does my back hurt? What's going on? When I can literally feel like my body being like, it's like targeted, like, it's from here, and you're doing too much, and that's why it hurts to breathe. And it's like, yeah, okay, all right, okay. So yeah, there's that, it's that little lesson in life. But let's see. Overall, though, that's been the day. Let's see. Food corner from last night. I did the Korean fried chicken. There you go. Spicy with the white rice. We got the Wow Bows back in action. These were barbecue chicken. I gotta say, comparison wise, the chicken teriyaki ones are definitely better. Both were good though, and I figured in the spirit of the Wow Bao, I kind of put in some like barbecue sauce into the mix for the chicken, which was pretty good. It was a nice little variation, still spicy, still good, but a little bit of that barbecue sweet. You know what I mean. Also had egg rolls in the mix, and was that it? I think that was it. Yeah, that was the food. And then I put some some greens in there. I really like when I at least have the greens to do that because it kind of. Oh, I did the greens, and then I also put in some onion. That's what I forgot to mention. So yeah, some spicy white onion. But yeah, there you go. That's my food. That's life as we know it. And let's go ahead and do our startup and get into some news. All right. Our first story comes from People. Employee allegedly stabs company president during staff meeting. Impossible copycat of CEO killing. Police. A Michigan man is in custody after he allegedly stabbed the president of the company where he works, per police. Eric Denslow was stabbed during a staff meeting on Tuesday, December 17th, in their Muskegon, Michigan office, the Fruitport Township Police Department said in a statement. Denslow was not named by the police but was identified by WZZ M13 and M Live. Police arrested a 32-year-old employee at the company. M Live, News 8, and Fox 17 identified the suspect as Nathan Mahoney, citing police and unspecified court documents. Officers responded to the office of Anderson Express Incorporated, a manufacturing company, on Tuesday around 9:30 a.m. to a report of a stabbing, per police statement. The suspect allegedly stabbed Denslow in the side with a knife before fleeing the scene in his vehicle, police said. He was apprehended in about 15 minutes. Mahoney's coworkers told police he had a quiet demeanor at work. Police have not established a motive, but Deputy Chief Greg Polson told News 8 they are not ruling out the possibility of a copycat attack of the fatal shooting of United Healthcare CEO in New York City earlier in December. I think that comes to everyone's mind in this time. We're going through all of his social media accounts, all his electronic media, and trying to determine a motive for this act, Polson told the outlet. Then they go back to talk about the United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson getting shot by Luigi Mangione, which I do want to add that they have officially tacked on enough extra counts and charges. I think stalking is a main one too, where essentially he can now be charged for the death penalty in New York City. He's also been extradited, all that shit. So that to me is crazy because I kind of flashed back, last week or so, talking to my coworker saying, look, this is they're definitely taking this seriously, yada, 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 but he is in New York. There's no way they're going to charge him for the death penalty. But here we are. We've charged Mangione for terrorism. We've charged him with all this kind of shit between the state and federal, all this blah, 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 that now he potentially can get the death penalty. They're going to try to run this shit all the way up. And I said what I said, way back when the shit, happened, when he wound up getting apprehended, or at least especially when he got apprehended. That it's it really doesn't matter how you feel about it one way or the other. This is pretty much an open and shut case for the prosecution. But they've run this shit up so many ways where there might be a chance where it's hey, do you really believe this is a terrorist act of what he did? Because that's tied to potentially convicting him. And that might not be the case for a jury. But we don't know. You'll definitely see how that kind of goes down the pipe. But, now you're talking about the idea of copycats, people who are, doing this in terms of, I would say it's less copycat, more inspired by, because they're not doing this exactly bar for bar how Mangione did it, especially. And we also don't know motivations and things of that nature. I think initially everyone goes, oh, these are like leftist acts and da 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 da. We're like, no, man, these are a lot of times impulsive actions, period. And a lot of times you go through these people's digital footprint or, whatever, how they are, you talk to the people around them, they are all over the place. You know what I mean? They're just weird, kooky Americans when you really wind up breaking it down, or it's like they kind of wind up looking like you or I. It's just you see at some point there's a snap moment and they make a decision to do something like this. Is it rash? Is it radical? Yeah, but at the end of the day, it kind of makes sense. I mean, I don't even feel like I'm saying the kind. I don't even think I need to. Like, it does make sense. You get sick of seeing this shit. You get sick of being a part of it. And it's like, well, what do you do? Not saying you do this, by the way. I do not, approve of this or anything like that, of course. But that being said, I think you can understand the action. I think, is it right? No, it's a reckless action, especially in this situation. There was no planning, I don't believe. I mean, maybe up into the point where he's coming in the function with a knife, but that's an American right. People come around with knives all the fucking time, dude. Shit, when the wedding I was at the other day, the dude just had a gun on his part, not the groom, but just one of the guys just had a gun. You know what I mean? That's America, baby. You can just do that shit. That's just the way we rock around here, okay? Like, so I mean, what do you mean, like? Oh, he's a copycat. Like, no, it might just be a guy who is pissed off. You know what I mean? And you could say, oh, this is a social consciousness awakening. I don't know. I would like to think so. That would be nice. I think it's just one of those things where people see what's going on and they're like, nah, yeah, it is fucked up. And then maybe they say, you know what? I'm kind of done with my fucking boss. Maybe this president, fuck this guy. Once again, I'm not okay in that. Not bumper stickering that. I'm just saying, yeah, I get it. That doesn't like, wow, I can't believe this, the humanity. I'm not saying that. But in the same vein of this, we have another story, very similar. Actually, I mean, I definitely kind of lagged on covering the story, but once I saw the stabbing, I said, you know what? I'm kind of falling behind here. Let me not let this one kind of go through the cracks. Let me actually talk about it. From BBC, woman charged with threatening healthcare firm by using CEO's killer's words. So once again, we're talking about someone, post the United Healthcare shooting or CEO shooting. A woman has been charged with threatening a health insurance company by repeating words engraved on bullet casings found at the scene of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson's murder. Brianna Boston, 42. Also, I want to note she's Brianna Boston, but she's from Florida. So just so we're clear. 42 is accused of saying, delay, deny, depose. You people are next, while speaking on a recorded line with a Blue Cross Blue Shield representative about a denied medical claim. Miss Boston, who is from Florida, was charged with threats to conduct a mass shooting or act of terrorism. A judge set her bond at around $100,000. They also have the poundage there at $78,900. They got to let us know. But following the Tuesday phone call with the U.S. healthcare company, local media reported that detectives in Lakeland, Florida, appeared at Miss Boston's home and arrested her. I mean, that's really a heavy charge, no? Like, don't be wrong. I get it. This is something I said before. It's very akin to okay, you have freedom of speech and yada yada, but you can't say fire in a crowded room. You know what I mean? Like, or, in a public place, whatever. There's consequences to these actions. I get it. But it's one of those things where it's like, damn, this really looks like you're just making an example of a person. And it's like, hey, we are going to make sure that anything that sounds or looks like what we saw in New York that day with that shooting, we're putting the kibosh on that shit. Also kind of doubling back with the Mahoney thing. I don't know in terms of charges. I just know he's being, his bail, I think is at $500,000, bond and $1,000 bond for the charges. So yeah, I mean, I don't, as of recording, I don't know if he's out on bail or anything like that, or what he's going to be charged with. I'll keep you posted. But, I mean, these are heavy charges for, Miss Boston. It's definitely no joke, no laughing matter, and that's a period thing. But let me see here. I wanted to make this point because those words are from a book. The words echo the title of a 2010 book, Delay, Deny, Defend, why insurance companies don't pay claims and what you can do about it. Now, it's worth noting, too, that this book is an interesting book. To my knowledge, I haven't read it. But for what I've been told, or what I've surmised, I should say, this book isn't necessarily like some kind of piece of leftist literature. It just kind of is saying, hey, this is a system at play when it comes to insurance, and this is what you can do to kind of maximize that. It's just like more of like a how-to-y kind of vibe to like it really is literal to what it is in the title. It's not trying to like, it's not like art, it's not arsonist cookbook type shit or anything like that. But this was one of those things where I believe it's literature that Mangione read. And that kind of, once again, gets into the matrix of a guy who gets to this point. Mangione, from what I've gathered, is a dude who is all over the place. Once again, I think immediately people thought that he was a leftist, revolutionary, blah, blah, blah. He's not that. He's not that at all. But at the end of the day, he was a guy who was like, hey, I'm seeing the situation at hand here. I want to do this thing, and I'm going to see it through. And yeah, is it going to be crazy? Am I being wild? Yeah, but I'm willing to do it. That's what I want to do. And I mean, now they literally did the craziest perp walk on him when they extradited him from Pennsylvania to New York. It was like Eric Adams was out there. They had like all this fucking law enforcement. They're just like fucking walking him out there, dude. Dude, it was crazy. Anyway, needless to say, they're definitely calling anything that is connected to this, inspired by, just straight up copycat. Once again, I think that's a bit heavy-handed, painting with a big brush here. But at the end of the day, you kind of get it because people are scared. At least people up at the top. You know what I mean? They're making the round saying, hey, what's your security looking like? And that's something that I was talking about up at the top. That at the end of the day, I think that that's probably the biggest change you're going to see is that now these motherfuckers are aware that they should be scared. Well, guess what? If you go to other countries and shit, they are that scared. When you have that kind of power, you know what happens. And you know that there's no safeguards for you. You know that the government's not going to come to fucking save you. So you better fucking invest in private. So guess what? You're probably going to see that from CEOs, around now. And if it's healthcare, if it's this XYZ thing, so people are upset. You see this economy shit, and we have Trump coming into power. Motherfuckers are in for a rude awakening. At least some people are. When all of a sudden years are gonna go by, and you're like, man, we're doing all this shit. Trump said all these promises. Well, where are we? I'm still struggling. People like Elon Musk, they're all doing fine. But what about me? I'm still struggling. And who are you gonna point the finger at? I think sometimes people are going, oh, it is these guys. It is those guys. Is it a good reaction to make these kind of phone calls to threaten people? Especially, too, and this is something I have to mention. You're making these threats. If you're to Boston, you're talking about all these people. You're talking to a person who's trying to help you. They're doing everything in their power. They might be exhausted, maybe individually. Maybe they're not the best or nicest, whatever. But at the end of the day, these aren't the people that you should be trying to throw onto the guillotine and into the gulag. Maybe you think so, but I will probably tell you that that's probably the reason why these sheets don't usually work out in the long run historically. But whatever. At the end of the day, you're saying these things directly to the wrong people, in my opinion. But I understand, once again, where the energy is coming from, what you're trying to do, the spirit of it. But once again, that's all well and good. Cool, very, very cool, but yeah, they're going to come and arrest you. They're going to come and make another example out of you, just like Mangione. They're going to call you a copycat. They're going to say that kind of shit. So that's where we're at with those two stories. I wanted to kind of talk about them. I guess just kind of blah, blah, blah. And I had that little update about Mangione and the death sentence, or the potential death penalty, That's very surprising to me. I did not see that coming at all. So I just wanted to kind of mention that as well. Sorry, I have to burp. Let me actually take a water break. Whew. All right, Arun. From CBS News, Teamsters set to strike against Amazon at New York City warehouse. There's an editor's note here. Teamsters officially went on strike at 6 a.m. Thursday, forming a picket line outside the Amazon warehouse in Maspeth, Queens. The Teamsters Union is launching a strike against Amazon at numerous locations across the country, including in Maspeth, Queens. The Teamsters are calling it the largest strike against Amazon in United States history, and it's set to begin at 6 a.m. Thursday. In addition to New York City, workers will walk off the job in Atlanta, South California, San Francisco, and a Chicago suburb. In a video announcement released Wednesday night, workers voiced their frustrations. Us being strike ready means we're fed up, and Amazon is clearly ignoring us, and we want to be heard. One worker says in a video. It's really exciting. We're taking steps for ourselves to win better conditions, better benefits, better wages. Another worker in video says. The union says it represents 10,000 Amazon employees, and that Amazon refused to come to the table and negotiate. The $2 trillion company doesn't pay employees enough to make ends meet, the union asserts. At the height of the holiday season, many are wondering what this means for packages currently in transit. Teamsters President Sean O'Brien says, if your package is delayed during the holidays, you can blame Amazon's insatiable greed. I agree. Let's see now. Amazon has a counter to this. An Amazon spokesperson says the Teamsters are misleading the public and do not represent any Amazon employees, despite any claims. The truth is that Teamsters have actively threatened, intimidated, and attempted to coerce Amazon employees and third-party drivers to join them, which is illegal and is subject of multiple pending unfair labor practices against the union, the spokesperson said in a statement. I feel like they're doing that to kind of like, I feel like the word I want to use is like almost dog whistle to like olden days where Teamsters are like more associated with like the mob. And essentially they're saying that the Teamsters are using like rough, dirty tactics to like recruit people on side of the Teamsters, which I disagree with. I don't think that's what's happening here. I think they're in the mix, even though Amazon does not want them to be, and saying, hey, you deserve better rights, you deserve better pay, wouldn't you say? And people are saying, you know what? Yeah. And then they're saying, you know what? Maybe I do want to join this. Maybe I do want to get involved. Maybe I do want to hit the picket line. And Amazon's trying to say, hey, yo, these people aren't Amazon workers. They just simply flat out aren't. And technically, they can make this claim. But I'm a person who's been under a contract or been labeled as like a third-party contractor or whatever doing my DoorDash shit. So I sniff that. I understand that something's not connecting. And I'm glad at least some media are saying this, where it's like, okay, you're saying these third parties or, you know, these people are technically contractors. You're downstreaming the work. But at the end of the day, Amazon, you're the only one employing this person who's sending all these guys out to run these packages and drop them off. And they aren't showing up to work. So they are on strike. It is a strike. But they get to say, no, everything's working fine. Everything's fine. All of the packages are going to be good. Don't worry, customer. You're going to be A-okay. You're fine. And maybe they're going to be right, but I think at the end of the day, Teamsters are doing what they can. They're being active. They're being out there. They're looking towards the long term of saying, hey, if we get more members, at the end of the day, maybe we can get more pressure. Because right now, I think, at least to my knowledge, in these kind of situations, the Teamsters are kind of on the outside looking in on this conversation. They don't have any actual willpower or influence because they aren't official unions, but they're growing in number. And once again, tangentially, these people are tied to Amazon. Amazon is funding them to do the work, and therefore it's like them not working affects it. But, you know, we will see how the holidays pan out. We will see how things go. But I definitely think this is worth mentioning. I think also some Starbucks workers are also greenlit to do a strike. I don't know the details on that. I'm just kind of free balling that one a little bit. But yeah, definitely worth mentioning. So yeah, that is most of our news, but I want to have one more update. We got to talk about a couple of astronauts, Butch and Sunny. We've talked about them before, but let me go ahead and do our last break, and we will go ahead and close it out. So let's hit it. Let's go to space. Ooh. Clover's over Dover. Okay. From CNN. Astronauts who flew to space aboard Starliner face additional delay. NASA has announced that it is delaying the SpaceX Crew 10 launch, a move that will keep astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams, who already had their stay aboard the International Space Station unexpectedly extended, in orbit even longer. Now, just a recap here. Williams and Wilmore launched to space in June, piloting the first crewed test flight of Boeing's Starliner spacecraft. Their trip, expected to last about a week, ballooned into a months-long assignment after their vehicle experienced technical issues en route to the space station, and NASA determined it would be too risky to bring them home aboard the Starliner. Starliner! I had to do it at least once. Also, the Starliner did make it back in one piece, but it was very concerning because of all the leaks and the problems with like the thrusters and shit. It was a whole fucking snafu. A kerfuffle, if you will. The astronauts have since joined Crew 9, a routine space station mission originally slated to return to Earth no earlier than February after a handoff period with Crew 10. Now Crew 10 will get off the ground at least a month later than expected because NASA and SpaceX teams need time to complete processing on a new Dragon spacecraft for the mission, according to the space agency. So essentially, it's going to take another month. So we're looking at maybe like March or April, maybe even. So, I mean, that's unfortunate. But I know, like it said before, I believe overall, at least from what we're hearing, they're doing okay, that they're doing fine. This is kind of part of standard operating procedure. You go up there, and sometimes the mission goes longer than you expect. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I still wonder, and I just haven't looked into it enough. I'm just waiting for a podcaster or a really big brain listener to come and tell me, what, like, do you get overtime? What is the overtime pay for this? Because you've got to be comped. Hey, man, we were supposed to be up here for like a week or whatever. Like, it wasn't supposed to be this long. How much am I getting paid? Because my life is being wasted. I would feel like, I mean, they are doing mission stuff and like they are a part of the team, like they're doing work. But that's what I'm saying. I better be seeing a bigger paycheck. That better not just be incurred, as like some incidental as a part of being an astronaut. Like, that's why I need these answers. Because, once again, as a worker to worker, bro, there better be some compensation. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, that's really all I really wanted to cover for today. The government shutdown, it's looming. And also, mea culpa, I've been thinking about that. It's been haunting me. I definitely feel like I didn't cover that shit as well as I wanted to or should have. We had that whole stopgap revolution, but at the same time, Trump wanted to have the debt ceiling raised, which is not usually what happens, but so many things get kind of slopped on and added on to those things that, like, it didn't really surprise me that this move kind of gets pulled. But now the Dems are like, hey, we're not supporting this new little thing that you're trying to get to save your ass, Johnson / Trump / Elon. Nah, we're not working with y'all. So essentially, we are minutes to midnight, so to speak, and nothing's really on the table, or at least nothing looks working. It's also worth mentioning, too, it's not just the Dems that are no longer a part of this. There are these hard-stuck Republicans, conservatives, who don't want to fucking just uncap the debt ceiling or keep kicking down the can. Because when I thought about this, and maybe you can call me crazy, maybe you can call me drinking the Kool-Aid, I can understand Trump's logic of even saying this like crazy thing of like, not only do I want you to just raise the debt ceiling right now so I don't have to deal with it, and I want you to raise it in a way so I don't have to deal with it for like most or all my term or whatever. So you could just get rid of it. Fuck a debt ceiling. And it's like, yeah, that would be bad economically, but like, what are we doing here? I mean, either from conservative or liberal, like Democrat, Republican, what are we doing here? No one's putting any real solutions on the table outside of kicking the can and pointing the finger. But that being said, both sides of this conversation don't want what is given right now, especially once you've altered the deal from what both sides agreed to. So that's kind of where we're at there. Bit of a redux on that in terms of the government shutdown. It seems to be maybe the closest we might get to it. Maybe the wheels do fall off this time. I don't know. But yeah, that's a bit of bonus news there. But yeah, that's all I really have. Let's see. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/AsaiaNews. If you'd like to send me some feedback another way, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. That's free. Also helps out a lot. Leave a nice comment. Sharing is caring. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.